Social media is a really interesting phenomenon. The Facebooks and MySpaces and Friendsters and all the rest of them. I sometimes call them neocortical media, because it seems to me that this media is deeply related to the part of our brains that governs our social relationships, the neocortex that evolved when we stopped being solitary hominids and became tribal animals. And being a tribal animal is great. It means that you can get a lot more done. One tribal animal can watch the kids, and one can go forage for fruit, and another one can keep an eye out for predators. But it also has some risks. When you're a tribal animal, there's always the possibility that the guy who's meant to be out foraging for fruit is in fact sleeping in a tree. And so we develop this huge mass of tissue on top of our brain called the neocortex that does nothing but keep track of what all the other animals are doing. Right? Are our friends behaving themselves? Are they apt to want to mate with us or to fight with us? Are they betraying us? Can we trust them? And there is something just deeply satisfying about the Facebook process of having a screen full of pictures of your friends. Now, the problem with social media is that it uses this friendship-driven impulse to convince us to give away enormous amounts of personal information, huge amounts of personal information. And it's kind of a Skinner box that rewards you for disclosure. And we try to get kids to not do this because it's risky to do this. It's risky not particularly because of predators, although, you know, there's a very small but very dire thing that sometimes happens to people, but mostly it's risky because the internet never forgets this stuff. So you spend your whole life being haunted by your disclosures on these social networks. So we sit down with kids and we have very serious talks with them about this. We say, you know, those pictures that you've put up of you and your mates, you know, naked, frolicking in the woods, sound like a good idea when you're 14, but when you're 44 and you're applying for a job or you're an MP or something, they're going to come back and haunt you, and you're going to really wish that you'd kept your trousers on, or at least not put the pictures on the internet. Of course, there are risks associated with meeting strangers on the network. Those risks, I think, though, are overstated. In fact, I know that those risks are overstated. Again, to cite Dana Boyd, the American sociologist, she's got a lovely presentation she does where she takes a pie chart that looks a little like Pac-Man with his mouth mostly closed. There's a little sliver here, and there's this giant circle here, and she says this is predation on children. This huge section here, this is parents. This little section here is everyone who's not a parent. If your children are going to be preyed upon, the most likely culprit is you. So take the parents out. Redraw the pie chart, leaving parents out. You have the same pie chart, more or less. A giant circle like this and a little sliver like this. This is relatives and people in authority over children. And then this is everyone else. So again, if it's not a parent who's abusing a child, it's almost certainly a football coach, a teacher, a librarian. And of course, this makes us all very uncomfortable because we look around at each other and we say, well, some of the people in this room do bad things to children, probably, statistically. And it's a lot easier to think, well, it's actually not any of the people in this room. It's a dirty old man in a Mac out, you know, crawling the curb or hanging around the jungle gym in the park. And there are some of those people, and they do make headlines when they do the terrible things that they do, but they're not the people. If you have 10 euros to spend on safeguarding your child, they're not the people you want to spend 9 euros on. You want to spend 9.99 euros on the people who are most apt to harm your child and on defending your child from them, to teach them how to recognize when something bad is being done to them, to teach them how to get themselves out of bad situations, teach them who they can talk to. And so social networks do have some of those strangers, that tiny little sliver of strangers who are bad for them. But more importantly, social networks have a huge circle of strangers who are good to me. We have always sent our kids into situations where they meet strangers because that's considered good for them. To be sent away, say, on a foreign exchange program or Model UN, Fulbright, or any of these other programs that send kids around the world to meet lots of other kids, these are actually thought of as privileges, and historically it's only been a small number of kids who get to participate in these. In social networks, that circle can be much, much larger. Now, the general pattern of usage of kids in social networks is mostly to communicate with their friends. However, when kids are pursuing not social normalization, but the things that they're kind of geeking out on, the things that they're really interested in, that's when they start to meet people from all over the world, and that's when they really start to broaden their horizons. And that's an opportunity that's unparalleled. as we look to find ways to reform social networks, to fund the creation of social networks, to teach kids how to use social networks, all of those things, that spectrum of activities that we do, what we need to be careful of is that we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. By all means, let's teach kids to be more cautious of bad actors that they meet on the network, but let's also encourage them to meet the kind of stranger that's key to their development. Young people love the thrill of the illicit, and young people love technology. And young people love to gain control over their environments, because the state of being a young person is the state of having your environment controlled for you by external authority. And these three facts combine in a really interesting pedagogical opportunity, which is about the fact that computers and devices are increasingly designed to control you instead of empowering you, or to give you some power but at the price of some control. So from the mobile phone that won't let you unlock it, to the iPhone or the iPlayer that won't let you copy or save the media that you put on it, to the video game consoles that only let you play the video games that were officially blessed by the manufacturer and not homebrew games. All of these things are part of the controls that are built into technology now. Printers that won't let you change cartridges and refill your cartridge. It's not hard to learn how to defeat these technical countermeasures. In fact, it's trivial. You can go online, you can learn all of this stuff. Learning how to take control of your devices does three important things. The first is it teaches you about the device. You learn more about a device by taking it apart and putting it back together again and getting it to do your bidding than you can by studying it in any other way. It makes the device safer for you, because you can disable all the ways that it tracks you, spies you, and keeps and takes control of you. And it gives you more value over the device. And it makes you more media literate. And it makes you think about the relationships, the commercial relationships that are embodied in your devices. And kids love it, because it feels illicit, although it's not. Unlocking your phone or refilling your toner cartridge is lawful, just companies would prefer you not do it. And it gives them secret mastery that they can flaunt over their friends, and will send their friends to you to learn how to do this too. And this is a pedagogical opportunity that's going missing as far as I can tell, in educational institutions. And it would be so easy to do, and the power that you get out of it and the value you get out of it. I mean, God, instead of going down to the newsagent and having him unlock your phone, teaching your kids how to unlock the phone, and then the next time you have a fun fair at your school ground, you can set up a phone unlocking booth staffed by your students, charge a $5 to their parents to unlock their phones. I mean, what could be better?